Oh my gosh. It doesn't get any easier doing these videos. Got my tea. We're not doing the hibiscus today. We're doing the catch disease. And I was just reading a little bit, and I actually have 3 books they're kind of like calendars. So, each day you read a page and it has quotes in it and an explanation of lessons you can learn from it. So I was just perusing through them, seeing what lesson I want to use for my Twitter or post today. And if you guys don't know, the project I kind of want is to post a quote for 365 days and then make a similar book as the ones I'm reading. So a 365 page book each day having a quote and an explanation of it. So that'll be for later, but for today, hey, one thing I wanted to talk about was actually what I'm writing about right now, and that's identity and values. So a lot of us, at least for me specifically, and I think for everyone around us too, we like to identify ourselves based on our occupation. So let's say a lawyer, a doctor, a poll watcher, because I'm doing the elections right now. That's what comes to mind. And I'll give myself an example as a writer. Well, let me give you a little backstory of what happened to me with kind of that connotation or that kind of perspective and understanding of identity. So I identified myself as a writer for 6 years. So from whenever I was 20 to, I want to say about 27 really. I still was thinking of myself as a writer this year in April. And what that did, it was force me to perceive my whole self as just a writer. So if I wasn't writing, then I wasn't fulfilling my identity. So for me, I was writing 3 hours a day, reading for 2 hours just because I wanted to become a better writer. And my whole world revolved around being a writer. That's what I was. That's who I was. And, well, what happened is in January to June, I had depressive episodes of just almost like existential crisis. And what I realized from these identities is exactly what I said, is that it's all encompassing. It's quite specific, and it forces you to take actions that you might be going for, but lead you away from other values you might be wanting to value more. So, for example, I said, and before, or let's say April, and my depression, I had a value of family. But what I would find a lot is I would push family away to do my 3 hours of writing and 2 hours of reading. And I had to juggle that. I had to make it so that I could spend more time with my family. But I was struggling a lot because I had this identity of being a writer. Like if I wasn't writing, and then who was I? And I think that's what it started off my depression, my existential crisis, because I wasn't a writer. I didn't get a job as a writer. I was so down in my depression that I took a notebook page and was just looking at it, staring at it for like 15, 20 minutes and nothing coming out. So it destroyed my whole identity and what I thought I was. But what helped me a lot to kind of get through that time and to understand myself better is to broaden my identity and to focus more on the values. So the way I kind of do it is identifying yourself as a human first. So I am a human who values bang, 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 bang. So let's take writing, for example. So you're not just a writer. The first thing you are is a human. But then you also are a human who values writing. So it's not all encompassing. If I don't write for a day, that's okay, because first I identify as a human being. And if it's almost liberating to think like that, because as there's nothing in this world that can strip you away from being a human being. You can go through the worst tragedies, the worst suffering, and you can almost anything can happen to you, and at the end of the day you are still human. So it was very liberating for me to think that way, because as let's say yesterday, for example, I didn't get to write, and before with my identity as a writer, I would have been freaking out. I would have been the next day thinking, okay, I need to write. That's the first thing I need to do. I need to get it done. But now I kind of changed it to where I'm a human who values learning, growth, and teaching. So that's even broader now. So first I'm a human, and now my values are the underlying reason for why I'm writing in the first place, of learning, growing, and teaching. So now I can do multiple different activities, and if those activities involve learning, growing, or teaching, then I'm fulfilling that value. And even if I'm not, I'm still fulfilling myself as a human being, and first and foremost being a human being to other people, to myself, and to the world. Essentially what I think love is. Loving yourself, loving others, loving the whole world, and being loved being a central trait of being a human being. So essentially that's a long-winded way of saying your identity should be as broad as possible, and you should attach your identity to some values you have that are you can have multiple different values for your one identity. So for example, for me, I have 6 main values. So I'm a human who values learning, growth, and teaching, what I call Kaizen. It's a Japanese term. We won't get into that. I'm also a human who values love. I'm also a human who values adventure, health, authenticity, virtue. I think that's all 6. If I didn't post down in the comments saying, oh, you're an idiot, and I'd be like, yeah, but I'm a human. Oh man, I'm have terrible jokes. Anyways, that's the main thing I wanted to cover here, is the broadening of your identity to save yourself from anxiety, depression, and your existential crisis, and also clearly defining what values you have, so you can put that at the end of your identity of being a human. I don't know, I felt a little groggy today. I don't know if that made sense, but I'm doing this every single day so I can get better. I hope you guys have a great rest of your night, and I'll see you tomorrow.